Yo, 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 welcome to Crate 808, and today we have a very special guest on board, manager, music executive and producer with a role in the success of acts like the Pharcyde, Cypress Hill, Coolio, Anderson Paak, and just many, many more. We've got Adrian Miller in the house. How are you doing, bro?
Good, good, good. Thanks for having me, 808. Love to be here. Appreciate it.
Man. Man, we're honoured to have you. We're honoured to have you because you've got a storied history in the game, my friend. And I just want to dig in with you as well and get a bit of insight into what that world was like and what your world is like now. But before we do, I need to ask you what I ask every guest when they come on. Adrian, what is the least hip-hop thing you've done in the last 24 hours?
Least?
Yes.
The least hip-hop thing I've done in the last 24 hours was, wow. That's an interesting one. I guess I should have probably listened to the podcast before. No. You know, I don't, it's a bit of a quandary because I don't refer to any and all things I do as less than hip-hop.
I love that.
I mean, I'm in it. I'm not in it for anything other than just my whole being is it. So it's hard to be outside of this, but I would say...
Yo, 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 quick reminder, if you're enjoying the show, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button so you'll be kept up to date with all that we're doing. And also, man, get involved in the YouTube comments. Man, we love hearing from you fellow hip-hop heads. We love nerding out, so bring those takes and just bring that flavour, man, and we might even shout you out on the show. So yes, appreciate all the support. Now, back to the episode.
Oh, okay, here's one. Here's one for you.
Okay.
I tend to like to live outside of my own, since all I do is live in hip hop, I tend to like and enjoy being outside of it, being uncomfortable.
Yeah. And
so, quite frankly, I was riding my bike and we don't like to show, you know, our machismo don't let us or allow us to show fear.
Yeah.
And I'm aware, you know, I'm aware of my surroundings or whatever. I'm just riding my bike on Sunday and a dog lashed out at me. And it was a little dog too. It was the wackest thing ever. Scared the heck out of me.
Oh, man.
And so to me, that's not necessarily, you don't show fear in hip hop.
Yes.
So maybe that was one.
You could have even made up the dog part and called it massive, but you were truly honest, which I love. I love that.
Yeah, you're gonna get the real from me, man. I like making fun of myself since no one else likes to do it. I had a good buddy I used to manage named Danny Grayson. God rest his soul. Everybody knows Danny I could say Danny Grayson to the top comics, and they all shiver because they knew he was the truth.
Damn.
But Danny was the guy who used to clown down on me all the time.
Right.
And none of my friends they don't really clown on me too tough.
Yeah.
My close friends give me a hard enough time, but they don't, you know, we won't ever get into a full-blown bag session anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
It's with age and maturity and energy levels, I think. I think that's what happens.
Yeah. I still like that kind of shit, though. So.
Yeah, man. You're actually realize you're in really good company, Adrian, because of all these questions I've asked in over 100 episodes, I've never really had fear or being scared of something apart from DJ Muggs. And I would never have thought DJ Muggs would be scared of anything in my life. But so you and him, he was scared. He went to a Halloween thing and a guy jumped out at him and he almost smacked him. But he was like, okay, and he was with his kids and he jumped. So you're in good company. You're in good company.
That's funny. Yeah, I was talking about Muggs yesterday. That's funny.
Oh, yeah? You talking to Muggs, sorry, or were you talking about Muggs?
I was speaking to a mutual friend of ours about him.
Yeah.
There's a lot of history with that relationship.
I see.
In a good way.
In a good way. Yeah, man. I mean, God, you, the same place, West Coast. I mean, let's kick it off because I find, from my perspective, East Coast heavy, all the stuff we got early in the 90s was very East Coast heavy until Death Row and stuff like that. That just blew everything apart, of my personal experience. But what I love and I find fascinating about this scene that you grew up in, that you were in like the early 90s LA scene, like The Good Life, just the people that were around that time. I was wondering if you could help paint a picture for me and the viewers and the listeners about what LA hip hop was like around 92, 91, 92, 93 for you.
I mean, you know, truth be told, LA had hip hop because of our East Coast transplants that were here. A lot of the East Coast cats were here trying to teach us how to be in the scene. And, you know, I'll take you back to 77, 76. And I was just talking to Sir Jinx about growing up in South Central LA. For us, it was all about, you know, boogalooing, popping, you know, electro, disco was coming into a real different etching musically, the musicality of what we were getting hip hop. Of course, there was a Sugar Hill Gang, but you have to take the perspective is Sugar Hill Gang only blew up because of Chic.
Yeah.
You know, they were dope, but Good Times is what took it over the top, that sample. And so we were listening to Cameo, we were listening to the Barclays, we were listening to, you know, those types of records here. And, you know, being a kid, you just needed to participate. In my first entry was the music, obviously. The second entry was dancing for me. And then there was a whole scene in LA with dancing and the clubbing and the DJs. And so, you know, you take the scene of Uncle Jam's Army, you take that whole dance scene and trendy. We call it the trendy era.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know about an era in Los Angeles where crews, you know, were dancing crews against one another at different parties. And in that era, you had the sound of LA was techno hop.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
And so I was really into like techno hop music, and, you know, now they call it, you know, high energy or dance, you know, like electronic or whatever, but it was techno hop. And if you recall, Ice-T was originally signed to techno hop. He was signed to the techno hop label. So you had Egyptian Lover, you had Rudy Party, Snake Pup, you had a bunch of dope groups that came out of that era.
Yeah. That
kind of lended a lens for us to see how to be popular, how to be the man on stage with the mic, how to have the party scene, how to have, you know, one of my good friends was Gregory Everett, God rest his soul. He was one of the original cats involved with a code called Ultra Wave.
Right.
And so Ultra Wave, Uncle Jam's Army, you know, all these different pioneering DJ setups meant parties for the high schoolers, meant us going in, showing what we had capacity on the dancing side, brought you the Soul Brothers, brought you KOD, brought you Posers, brought you all these different dance crews that eventually turned into, you know, the Soul Brothers morphed into Dancers for Def Jeff, morphed into Divine Styler, Rhyme Syndicate, you know, KOD morphed into bigger, and, you know, like it was all like a matter of, and KOD is Kings of Drag for those that didn't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of that era, and this is I'm talking still in the 80s at that point. You know, 86 through. But, you know, we also had something jamming in LA that I got to give props to, and that was K-Day. A lot of people didn't have 24 hours of hip hop.
Yeah.
No matter if it was on an AM frequency, it was in stereo. So a lot of people didn't understand the difference of mono versus stereo, and stereo gave you the capacity to really boom in your car, even in AM. So we had some of the best opportunities to hear the best music because a lot of the DJs that were featured on the Mixmaster show, Tony G, Julio G, Sir Jinx, Curtis Harmon, Mixmaster, Michael Mixon Moore, Dr. Dre, Wonder Twins, a lot of these guys, Han G, Evil E, a lot of the DJs on K-Day thanks, shout outs to Greg Mack and K-Day. A lot of those teams played music, obscure ass songs from the East Coast, artists that would have never seen the light of day and probably didn't realize they were kind of making noise in LA even.
Damn.
And then, you get a lot of, you got a lot of music and a lot of crossover. So we were learning as we were growing, we were really educating one another and didn't know it.
Yo, yo, yo. Us here at the Crate 808 podcast have finally kicked off our Patreon. So if you don't know what Patreon is, it's a platform where you can go and for a small donation, you can help support us make more hip hop content for you. Go on to patreon.com/Crate808 and you can check out all the little payment options you've got there. You can check out the 2 new episodes you'll be getting every month, live chats with us guys, just to rap nerd out with you guys. We're going to go into some wide-ranging episodes, delving into the work of the Wu-Tang Clan, MF Doom, and Jay Dilla. So get it locked if you want that new granular look at hip-hop. So go to our payment tiers on Patreon, big up yourselves. If you choose to support us, thank you so much. I will give you a personalised shout out on the show, and we shall catch you in one of these live rooms and let's get this community going. So spread the word. Much love for your time and peace out. Boom. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, man. And you're making it your own, which again, for me, came to real life when I started hearing and seeing the videos of Good Life and making that as almost like an epicenter of sorts from my perspective. From your perspective, what did Good Life mean to you then, and what does it mean to you now?
All right, so I have a real interesting Good Life story. It's gonna unfold in so many ways.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it to 80. I'm gonna give it to 808 first, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Nobody knows this, and those that know can't tell it.
Right. Damn.
So when we called. See, I'm gonna give you the whole language. When we were from Party Down, we were leaving a get down, a party. My cousin and I were leaving a party super late at night, and I'm just grabbing flyers off of the walls and just making sure that we don't miss another party down. Yeah. So we were from Party Down that night, and we were on our way home. And we were on Manchester, and I saw a poster saying, be first to enjoy our time together. Poets, rappers, everybody, come and join in and blah, 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 blah. We're going to have our block meeting at Joseph's on Manchester. And I was just visiting with my cousin I was in St. Louis at the time living, but I was visiting with my cousin. And out there, I used to cut grass and do all these different things. So I would have money when I would come here. I wouldn't be just some poor broke kid that wanted to go dance. I actually have my gear together. And, so we went to, we were coming in from Party Down, and I forget where we went out that night, but whatever. And then I saw that sign about meet up at Joseph's about the neighborhood. And I was like, yeah, I'm trying to do things in the community too. I'm not just here, take. So again, my mentality was, how can I be purposeful? It wasn't even about me trying to be an artist or anything like that. I think all of us thought in the back of our mind that there was hope for us yet in terms of our actual get down. Yeah. So we went to the meeting. It was like the block. It was like B Hall put together this meeting of all the people that she could get together. And it was only like a handful of us, maybe like 6 or 7 people showed up. My boy, Brian Bellamy, I won't forget his name, his girlfriend, Crystal B Hall, her son, my cousin and I, Lamar Algie and I, we both went. There was a handful of other people there, but that particular meeting, she said, look, we want to do a thing where it's an open mic. She didn't really quite have it all together, but she had a brilliant vision. And she said something that really triggered me, which was, there's nowhere else like this. We have to do something for our community because the kids are missing the opportunity to be on the mic and be heard and be seen. And I want to do something that's clean cut. And, I went away. I put my donation in the hat. And I was like, this is all the money I got in the world. Let me go ahead and put it towards something I think is going to be relevant. And I put it towards that. Again, it was not called The Good Life because we were at Joseph's restaurant at the time. Yeah. So it was supposed to be called Joseph's. Yeah. And the Good Life happened because I think B got a relationship. It was actually a health food store called The Good Life. And B created a relationship with them, whereas, hey, the kids are going to come in here and do, you know, I think it was Wednesdays, maybe it was Thursdays, once a week. Then there'd be open mic. There won't be any cursing. And then we started to police our own selves to be better lyrically and grow. Now, remember, I left town. I went back to St. Louis. This started going on and it grew and kind of was becoming. When I came back, my cousin was like, yo, let's go check out this Good Life thing, blah, 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 blah. I hear, you know, it's open mic, this and that. And maybe I was pressing him or he was pressing me. The case was we went. And when I showed up, B looked at me like, where you been? And I said, I live in St. Louis. So I'm back visiting. Yeah. You know, I'm originally born in St. Louis, but I was raised in LA. So I was just kind of back and forth all my life. And she was just like, look at what we created. And I go, what did we create? I've never seen it. Yeah. So I'm here in the middle of it. And I think I saw Sin, the girls go up and I'm just paying attention and everybody's vibing. And I'm like, whoa, we did this? And she's like, yeah, you contributed, right? And I was like, oh, wow. Yeah. Thank you, B. And she was like, no, thank you. This is us. And I was just like, I've always felt home at the Good Life. And I didn't go as much as a lot of people went every week. I didn't go. But when I did go, I was always with the intention of, well, what can I do now? Now that we got it, what can we do to grow it? Yes. And it was about finding a method to being the business. Now, I know Ava put out the movie she did. Yeah. Which incredible film. What it didn't show, I mean, it was a bunch of people she missed, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. She didn't tell the story I'm going to give you, which is the success from the Good Life. The success stories out of the Good Life, which went on, and there were several. A lot of people got record deals. Matter of fact, Freestyle Fellowship, I helped them get their first record deal. Yeah. Yeah. I was not a manager. I was not an A&R person. I was just a hustling ass guy in the scene. Yeah. Trying to be a man of my word and an honorable source of certainty. Like I wanted Kim Bowie to know, my friend who signed the Freestyle Fellowship, I wanted her to know I had real connections in my neighborhood with guys that were, and these guys I met maybe here and there at the Good Life, but we weren't like friends all of our life or anything like that. It was just like, hey guys, you got to trust that I'm going to bring you to the right source. Yeah. And it wasn't like I took them to several sources to see who gave us the best opportunity. No, it was like, you got a source, let's get it. And so, I was really building strongly at that point with Jay Sumbi, who was the producer of Freestyle. And they really had their thing together. They were really smart guys. Micah Nine and I had a real good relationship previous to the whole Freestyle Fellowship thing coming full circle. When he was Micah Nine, we would just freestyle in the Baldwin Hills Shopping Center together at Earl's Wiener spot. Like Earl had this little cart that he would sell hot dogs on. Yeah, yeah. We go and just bust freestyles and kick it. That's amazing. So we had a relationship. And so, I saw the Good Life from the perspective of being in a position to help the others out. And so it was, Fuzzy hit me up one night. Yo, how come you're not helping me get no job in the industry? Okay. I don't have a job in it. What are you talking about? Like, you sound crazy. And he's like, no, y'all are making moves, you and your cousin and this and that. And I'm just like, all right, Fuzzy. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, I helped Fuzzy get a job. Damn. Yeah. Big Boy and Fuzzy were together on a regular. It was Big Boy, Fuzzy, Sean Juan, and DJ Ray. They were all a crew. Little troublemakers. But come to find out, Big Boy was needed. We got him on the road with Pharcyde from an incident that happened. So we brought him out on the road as security for Pharcyde. Right. And this was my guy. So I helped, my cousin and I helped him get his job. My cousin worked at Delicious.
Right, right.
I never worked for Delicious,
Okay.
but I was just always around. These are my crew, you know. I met the Pharcyde from Ras Kass.
Amazing.
Yeah. And during that time, I was more interested in working with Raz than I was any other artist.
Right.
He was my ace. He was one of my favorite rappers.
Yeah.
And I mean, like at the time, he was just the boom bap was in him, and he was nothing like him in LA. And so he was so humble. Raz was like, "You got to meet my boys. If you think I'm dope, where do you get a load of them?" And it was just like them meeting our entire crew. And, you know, Paul Stewart was the manager.
Yeah.
A lot of people wanted. And I worked for Paul. When I came back home from college, my first job was working at PMP. So there you have a lot of like.
Yeah. It's a phenomenal, as you said, pool of just incredible talent. You're talking about Freestyle Fellowship, you're talking about Ras Kass, then you're talking about Pharcyde. Although you all come from similar places, unbelievable how sonically different you are. Like was there anyone like Freestyle Fellowship when they were going up and rhyming? Were they that unique at that time?
Incredible. The problem with freestyle is that they were so on point that if you thought for 1 minute you were going to ever come in and see them on their stage, I don't care where you were from, you would have had to get up really early in the morning to eat 2 boxes of Wheaties because they were just fierce. Other rappers, like that's why the crew was called the Heavyweighter crew, because it wasn't just Freestyle Fellowship. It was Freestyle Fellowship Volume 10, Abstract Tribe Unique, First Brigade, Ganja K, God Rest His Soul. And a lot of these guys had the most fiercest producers around them too. So you had, it was triple threats a lot of times because there was like, I got to give props to Dallas Singleton, who did the artwork on the Freestyle Fellowship album cover. He did Volume 10's album cover artwork.
So Inner City Griots, Volume 10, hip hop. No, is it hip hop? I can't remember which one he did. But yeah, they are similar. Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. Dallas. And he was our artist for The Good Life. So you got to give the props across the board. Because when I tell you it was a health and wellness restaurant. So we're thinking almost in that era about being vegan, about eating right.
In 92, 91.
Everyone in that room knew who Dr. Sadie was. We weren't just on a pathway of music. Everybody wasn't trying to be a rapper. A lot of people were trying to be producers and DJs and graffiti artists. A lot of people. Big Boy had he had some technology set up. Big Boy had the What's Up hotline. You could call and find out what's up. You dial in on the pager, and hey, you listen to the What's Up hotline. Him and his sister set it up.
Damn.
And this is Ida's son, Big Boy. And yeah, he was doing his thing then. And so at the time, I think so I was working with Nick and Aaron, the Baker Boys. So they were the biggest thing on radio in LA at the time. Even though we had K-Day, Power 106 and K-Day weren't affiliate back then. Right. And Power 106 was playing dance music, electro music, and then they all of a sudden just started formatting rap and hip hop. Yeah. And then they became the destination of where hip hop lives, from these 2 Mexican guys out of Bakersfield versus guys in LA. Yeah. So it was a lot of bitterness, but I wasn't bitter. I just went and started rocking with them immediately. And so we had a friendship and a relationship, and I was managing the Baker Boys. And so I could get all my records played, but they were in fear of getting there. They were in fear of the system, and they were not real programmers as much as they were definitely dope DJs. Right. What I liked about them, I respected them about, is that they were dope DJs. They were fascinated with Muggs, and I was working with Muggs in that era as well. So it was like a lot for me. There wasn't anybody I didn't smile at and cross over into business and opportunities with. It was if we could have a conversation, we could do business. Amazing. And so super easy.
Amazing, man. Love that. You mentioned Volume 10 there, absolute legend, Pistol Grip Pump, all that we know. What do you remember about that time when Lynch Mob Cube Volume 10, there was a lot of chat about Cube maybe biting that style. What do you remember of that time?
All right, I'll tell you like this. That was my album.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you were to Mac down on the girl, more LA jargon, if you were to be a Mac, you were a guy that you got over on her. Mm-hmm. I Macked that girl down and got her number. Mm-mm. I was Macking to him about that money. We definitely had to break bread.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So what do you do if you Mac 10?
Oh, wow. Okay. Jeez. Is that
It gets deep. In volume, I would let Dino tell you the story, because I wasn't there when Cube came to the Good Life, but Cube did go to the Good Life.
Right.
And, after that night, Volume felt like he took his style. I ain't with my dogs, man. Fuck a gorilla. Mm. He said that line because Gorillas in the Mist was something that Cube kind of, and biting, you didn't bite nobody at the Good Life. You got dealt with. You guys were serious MCs, man. And if you left the Good Life, first of all, you couldn't get on the mic at the Good Life and do anything miggity, figgity, miggity, shiggity, sliggity. There was none of that.
Yeah.
When you did that, you were taken off the mic, because it was just a nervous twitch not to come. Use your words.
Yes.
Second of all, you couldn't curse. There was no profanity.
Yeah.
No profanity on the microphone. So you curse, you miggity, figgity, you out. So originality ruled through, shined through. So you could tell if somebody took your colorway, your sash, whatever you were wearing, or your sound, you could tell. And the problem is that Volume 10 did not have a record deal. Ice Cube did.
Yeah.
And Cube didn't like when Volume 10 got signed and he came out with Pistol Grip Pump. And there was a lot of work for us to get to Pistol Grip. And I reached out to Cube personally. I reached out to everybody to help us. I reached everybody twice. For me, doing a song like Pistol Grip, making a record like that with him and the Baker Boys, now you see the union.
Yeah. Of course.
So in doing that, and this is a shout to Muggs. I'm trying to please Muggs. I'm trying to show Muggs I got what it takes as a producer. I got the wherewithal to show you, Muggs, my guy, my mentor, my dude. Like, I want you to see my capacity, and then maybe you'll be like, yo, hey, come to the studio. Muggs was like, it's all right. He was like, it's all right. And so Pistol Grip was my like, shit, if you don't like this record, I don't know. And, he hit me with, it's all right. And it was all right. Like, we had a good album, and Pistol Grip was all right.
Yeah.
But we should have done more. It should have been the bar from which we started, and then we maybe went back and redid it. But Volume was over recording. He was just like, I'm putting out my album. He was so anxious. And then, I've learned since then, there's no reason to be anxious. You take what you feel is your hit record and you do it over and over and over and over. And there's parts you're going to want to clean up. There's things you want to change. There's sounds you want to tidy. But 2020 being hindsight, we get an opportunity to learn about how to maturation of recording. That's why I was able to take all the records I've dealt with and turn it into the experiences I now have.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, life is a learning lesson. It's a lesson, man. And the stuff that you've learned goes on, because I was looking at Pharcyde and how you linked with Pharcyde, and I was thinking because we had Slim Kid Trey on as well, and we were talking about like their chemistry as a group, and they seemed quite wild, like as in like they were fighting and stuff like that, but they were also loving each other as well. What lessons did you learn seeing acts like that do what they did? What lessons did you learn in the industry where you're like, what have I learned from this?
I mean, watching the Pharcyde, watching the Freestyle Fellowship, I always say this and I kind of continue. This is my through line in all the interviews and all the things that I talk about now. We are a unit. We are a family. Our gifts are supposed to be used amongst ourselves so that we can share when it's time to bring something to the family picnic. You don't want to come empty handed and start trying to eat off of everyone else's plate. So you need to bring your contribution. And as a family member, if your contribution is simply your rap, you're not really bringing too much. It's like macaroni without no cheese.
Yeah.
If all you do is rap, there's so much more you need to know about why rappers who are dope, why they are dope, in fact.
Yeah.
Why MCs know how to rock a party and rappers are scared to get on the mic.
Yeah.
What's the difference of being an MC and a rapper? A rapper raps, an MC commands a crowd, moves the room, directs traffic.
Yeah.
So, and nothing, no disrespect or no shade to rappers. It's more to hip hop. And we've tended to lose traction on explaining that importance of our, and I'm not going to use the passe word culture, for as an architect in this culture, you can't possibly think that your stick home would have a foundation without a real foundation. And I see people who rap look over breakers like whatever. But if you ain't got nobody to dance to your music, then what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, if all you talk about is how to terrorize, then you should be into terrorism. If all you talk about is how many people you got laid, you should go see the doctor.
Yeah.
If all you're talking about is all the money you want to get, you should get a job.
Yeah.
Because like I hear academics and the younger cats talking about, oh, your fan base is becoming your net worth and all this other stuff. And it's a fact. I would never knock that. But if we don't start to entertain ourselves as a family unit, all this destruction is on us. We don't got to defund the police. We need to create a bond amongst one another. That bond that speaks from here. Where are you at?
I'm in England. So
that bond that speaks from Los Angeles to England, that through line, that wasn't just for the 90s.
Yeah.
That's for now. And these artists who, if you want to beat a gangster, you're blocking yourself from potentially traveling from where you're at to where you go. Now, I can't front. If you are in a bad situation and you got to fight to get out and your frequency is low and you don't understand how to get out of that situation without fighting or whatever it takes to get you through it, then I just say, hey, man, pick up the phone, hit me on Instagram and let Big Bro tell you how to get out of that situation and navigate those waters because we understand it. We've been there.
Yeah.
And it's deep because it's not just music. It's not just cultural. You asked me earlier, the least hip hop thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
It's all hip hop things I do. This is my life. You know what I'm saying? Like if without hip hop, I don't know where I would have ended up. I'm not going to say I would have ended up robbing somebody or being in jail. But statistically speaking, I wasn't supposed to make it past 21 in South Central. So I'm not so fascinated with, oh, I got more money than this person or that. Nah, I work really hard. I'm going to outwork you. You want to know what's going to happen? I'm going to outwork you. Yeah. And that's that. And that was always my intent. Outwork the next person so that I can prove my point and get to where I got to grow. Not go, grow. Yeah. Yeah. This is not some destination. It's a journey.
Yes, absolutely, man. This is so deep. I love this. This is what I've always loved about the culture that we're in because it's a biosphere on its own. It's a world. We have everything we need in it to survive. Yeah. And I always feel that building together feeling, despite the machoism, despite the top 5 conversations and I'm king of New York and I'm this and I'm that. Despite all of that, I always loved the fact, especially in the 90s when you guys came up, there was this beating heart and soul to it, from Chuck D and KRS to what they were saying to people like Kendrick now. When I see Kendrick now, it feels like that soul is still there. So I really appreciate you putting it so eloquently, man. Better than I could have ever. So yeah, I love that. I was going to ask you though about like, you talked there a bit about Muggs. So I just wanted to talk about like Soul Assassins obviously being just huge, especially they translated so massively over here. But you were around as well when House of Pain were around. That time in hip hop for you, what was so different? Why was Jump Around like getting so big, and Cypress Hill, and what was the keys to those things happening in your opinion and just blowing up and changing hip hop?
I mean, you couldn't have been more readier as a unit, as a squad. Like Soul Assassins, when it first launched, man, it was a squad. Like you had to think, Jump Around. I mean, in theory, you probably as Muggs would have wanted everything under the same roof, in theory. But to pass the record over to Tommy Boy was probably the smartest thing, because Tommy Boy was set up and the timing was perfect for them to have a song from a, you know, I probably will only say this right now because he's not, even though he goes by Whitey Ford now. Everlast to me was, I always missed the point of him being a white boy. He was so soulful. He was so, he's a white guy, but he never, you know, you really miss the color lines unless somebody wearing it on their chest. You never really saw that. And so the whole, like the Celtic piecing and all that came to be what House of Pain stood for, that all came like, it was, again, they were so ready. From the art to the sound to the, we got another one right after that, we can keep going.
Yeah.
You know, to the, you know, being at the parade in Boston at the time of doing a music video, that couldn't have been planned out better. And it was just timing. Yeah. It was just a series of really cool things. It was time for the music video to get shot. Oh, why don't we just go do it at the St. Patty's parade in Boston? Like, because we're not set up. We don't have no, how about we don't do that because we don't have, we don't have city permits. We don't have any of that kind of shit. And it wasn't needed after all. Like, we just went in there and gang busted. And I can recall taking the record around, taking the green vinyl for Jump Around around to people saying, hey, I want you to play my song. And we were working in tandem because I worked for the management company that handled House of Pain. Wow, but even before that, I heard the first version of Jump Around because Lethal played it for me. He's like, look what me and Ralph and them came up with. And, you know, I was like, yo, mind blown. Like, it was just so syncopated, on point. Timing was well. And from a demo to being out, from a demo, like, it took no less than 12 weeks to make vinyl. But so from a demo to getting the vinyl, it seemed like it went like that. Wow. It didn't go like that, but it did go like that. And so it was just interesting to see, like, then a fast turnaround was possibly 5-6 months to get everything ready to go promote. Yeah. Not 1 month, it's out, my single's burnt out in over 6 weeks. It was never like that. It was always set up, precision. You know, I can't speak to the business about, you know, the behind the scenes, but shout outs to, you know, my bros, Everlast, DJ Lethal, you know, Ralph M from Funk Dubious, Son Doobie, Tomahawk. Those were my guys. I later went on to executive produce records with them. You know, Danny and I get along. Yeah, I still fuck with Danny. I don't fuck with him, but I see him on, you know, I'm probably out of that crew closest to Lethal. He and I still touch base with each other. I've gone and managed Lee, not managed Lee, you know. Managing DJ Lethal, anybody will be able to tell you, is a fucking headache in and of itself. He's a fucking crazy guy. But but he's still fam. And then, you know, I see Muggs at the gym every now and again, and we still have a laugh about life in times. You know, Be Real just started following me on Instagram. That's a funny ass thing.
Good stuff.
Sin Dog and Mello, those are my bros right there. Like, I really, really, really fuck. Like, everything stops, and we stay in the same time that we were in back then.
Beautiful.
With them and all their kids to this day.
That's
like
amazing. Love
for them, and shout outs to what's going on in the Cuba and how that affects everybody in the crew.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think that it was just a good time, and you have to think that Buzz Tone was managing Cypress, House of Pain, Funk Dubious, all of the Soul Assassins, Dante Areola, who was doing all the artwork at the time for everything. Esteban, who was touring with House of Pain, Cartoon, you know, amazing. The likes of everybody who was in our crew. Like, that was think about that office.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the label. Or shall I say, that wasn't all the artists that we managed.
Damn. Was Young Al there, Alchemist? Was he around at that time, or did you remember bumping?
He came around because he was in the Hooligans.
That was it, the Hooligans.
And Be Real stamped the Hooligans. So they weren't necessarily Soul Assassins, but Be Real was like executive producing.
So Scott Kahn's there as well, just chilling. Amazing. Yeah. I love the Hooligans story. It's just fascinating to me. Because I think, was it Amanda Sears who was she managing Cypress? I might have got that completely wrong, but I do remember seeing that name, Amanda Sears.
Amanda Demi. Amanda Demi.
Sorry, Amanda Demi. Yes, that's it. But yeah, no, I mean, Cypress alone, they were so different to Pharcyde, who were different to House of Pain. When you're trying to convince people to sign an artist, what was the most difficult one for you? Where you were like, these guys are so good, why is nobody seeing how good they are? Did you have a moment like that?
Anderson.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Nobody got it.
Tell me that story.
Nobody got it.
Anderson.
But he wasn't going to take no for an answer. So yeah, he was the hardest. He was the most recent and the hardest. But you know, one thing is for sure, by the time I like it, I don't really care who likes it or not. I'm gonna keep putting the buttons in and going at it, because there is something to be said about managers who don't give up on their client. There's something to be said about managers who know how to fight the good fight for their clients. And the clients got to understand that actually the clients way understand how hard the job is, because they didn't do it themselves. Yeah. Anderson had been around. If you were supposed to know about Anderson, you would have known about Anderson as Breezy Lovejoy.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of people are about a lot of people need the book of educating themselves on the business of music and what it really takes to get you from point A to point B. But I will say that Flow Rider was so hard, I never got him a deal.
Damn.
That's my bro. But I took him everywhere twice. And he wound up at a place that told me no to begin with. I ain't gonna say no names because I don't got time to get him no names.
Yeah. But then they signed him afterwards. Unbelievable. Yeah.
It's like, you know, you're gonna sign my guy after I have worked all this time to get him in front of you. Then you tell me no, and then you go sign him with someone else so they get all the prop.
Damn. Yeah. Big yourself up for having that positive energy around you still, though, because I can imagine that not being the only knockback. I'm sure you've had quite a few, but to talk to you now, it feels
more often than not, you're told no before you're told yes. You know, I always know. Let me go ahead and get started on these no's so I can get them out the way.
Yeah.
But the reality is that there are a lot of places to go get told no, and there are a lot of places to get told yes. You just got to know where to go now. That's my business, to figure that out. That's the secret sauce of getting deals, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, amazing. I just want to touch on a very special time in my life, listening to hip hop, with Ruthless, Death Row being like just so huge over here. Like they were just, that was it. That was my life. I wanted to know your relationship really with them, from Eazy, Jerry Heller obviously at the time as well, and if you saw like firsthand, or if you saw anything where you saw the atmosphere maybe changing a little bit at that time between those crews?
Well, keep in mind, that was an era that I was a fan too. You know, when Eazy first got his label started with Dre and everybody, I was just a fan of the music. I wasn't involved at all whatsoever. But
yeah,
my big bros like Doug, you know, Doug was in it to win it. He was there with McCullough when Jerry got the deal and got Eazy signed. So, you know, shouts out to Doug Young, and his stories are phenomenal. I'm actually going to meet Terry Heller for lunch in 15 minutes.
Oh,
right
man,
now.
that's amazing. Okay, right.
Terry and I are friends to the end. And I was really like, Jerry, as mean as he was to everybody, I got a chance to see him without the grizzly bear coat on. Underneath the grizzly bear Jerry Heller, there was a teddy bear Jerry Heller. I'm so honored that I got a chance to know that Jerry. And Eazy respected me like a businessman because he thought I was much more paid than I actually was. Eazy was like, I remember the time I met Eazy, we were in the parking lot at 92.3 The Beat because they had the Ruthless radio show.
Right.
Julio G. And Eazy goes, Mr. Adrian Miller. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, who's calling my name? It can't be fucking Eazy E. And then he goes, I thought you were an older white Jewish guy, the way your name rings in the halls. And I'm like, damn. What? I didn't know what it was, what he was saying. I thought he was like cracking on me. He was just like, nah, man, I see you. I see what you're up to. You know, it wasn't like, when are we going to work together and no shit like that. But I'm just there with my mouth open like, fucking Eazy E. Like, you fucking kidding me? Like,
yeah. Yeah.
And then I just, you know, I really got out of the shock of him speaking to me, because it wasn't like I was starstruck necessarily, but I was just in mode that, how the fuck you know me? And we talked, and he always had a good game for me. He always had a good word for me. He was always cool with me. And, you know, again, I didn't do business with him. I wound up signing, doing, you know, managing Hobson when he was signed to Ruthless. So I worked with Ruthless, and, you know, kind of like an unsaid thing with me that people don't understand. I've always wanted to work with all the greatest hip hop labels. Okay. Right. And I have.
I'm about to say, I think you might have done.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing.
The Death Row thing, it's so many entry points with that.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I was never in business with that entity in a negative connotated version of it. But before Death Row existed, it was called Godfather Entertainment. I got the phone call. I got one of the first calls when Godfather was getting ready to put money into that entity and let it be the label. I got one of the first calls from Harry O. Harry O hit me up when he was locked up. Damn. And, you know, at the time, I was a source because I was working at Warner Brothers. Right. So things were in motion with them already. And I think I had Smooth 7 signed to me, Smooth 7. He signed to my production company. Right. That was a bit of a shit show because one day he was signed, the next day he wasn't so much. Damn. And then I remember Suge telling me how Smooth, he pointed at Smooth, he's like, you're on Death Row. I'm like, no, he's not. He's my artist. Yeah. He can't be on Death Row. And then Harry O tidied that up right quick. Yeah. And, you know, next thing you know, we were not on Death Row. Okay. And Smooth, I thought we was on Death Row. I was like, come on, bro. Right. Yeah. Man, that scene, yeah, it's fascinating. As you said, so many entry points. But one of the things I wanted to kind of end this conversation really with you is because a lot of this chat is West Coast, LA, your experience of that. But I also understand your cousins with Freeway Rick. So when I watch Snowfall and I'm watching Saint on Snowfall and these ridiculous tales that are grounded in some truth of COINTELPRO, of the crack epidemic, I want to know from your point of view as having a family member in that, what's fuck the police mean to you? Like really still, do you know what I mean? Like that must hit home harder, I assume. So Rick, for the record, is family, but not like, blood related.
Right.
He's always had, again, the era of getting phone calls from Harry O in prison on his mobile phone when fools didn't really even have mobile phones. Yeah. He's calling me from lockdown. Rick is hitting me like, hey, I want you to come run my company. And I'm like, I got a job. I work for Benny Medina. It's at Warner Brothers. I ain't getting ready to go do nothing else, but I'm here to help and I'm here to support. And I'm here. It's just like, I've always been the same. Hey, I'll show up to show love and support where I can. But so when the 80s crack epidemic hit LA, that's when my mom was like, oh no, you're out of here. So I missed that entire thing here. I personally didn't have to deal with that part.
Right.
But, as it goes, we all had a family member or knew somebody close to our family that dealt in that, because it was not just Rick who had access to dope. It was LA proper. And you were either selling it or doing it. There wasn't no in-between markers. If you were living the nice lifestyle, doctors, anybody, you were either selling it or doing it.
Unbelievable.
And that's the word in LA. It was like somebody just blanketed the entire LA with dope, and you either got it dropped in bags in front of your house to sell it, or you got it doused all over you, and then you were anointed in it to do it. And that was deeper than slavery, because we were cognizant. We knew what we were doing, but our hands were tied behind our backs as a community. When you infuse something like that, and you saw the show Snowfall, and they gave it to you kind of raw. And again, in real time, when you standing next to somebody and they get shot, can you imagine what goes through you? Later for it being drug related, just in real time, what really happened in the community through the way the government was behind the scenes terrorizing the community. I gotta say that it was systematic, that it was set up, that it was all designed. I gotta say that because I was in the community and I've come back to the community and I've seen the devastation, and I've seen how LA 25 years later has fluctuated with land, with the way we think and deal with one another. And it's heartbreaking because, being an Afro-Latino and understanding Black, brown, the synergy, you are no different than me. We can't be against somebody who had a plotful thing against us. Why? Because we weren't set up or designed.
Yeah.
We can participate in that plot. We can be unwilling participants, but there aren't enough leaders that tell the truth about why we should do things the way we should versus not. Now, I'm not going to get into a bunch of political, onslaught and things like that, but I think very deeply about our ways and our youth. And I think deeply because the kids don't realize that everything is not in the books that you read in high school and in school, but you're supposed to learn how to go get books from the library. You're supposed to learn how to go do your own research. You're supposed to learn how to talk to your family members who have the knowledge, who can kick it to you. That crackhead uncle or auntie that you think are just out to lunch actually have some information for you that you won't ever get if you don't speak to them about it.
Yeah.
So it really breaks my heart when we don't have a united front with one another. But unfortunately, fortunately, we have to learn how to do things in bite-sized chunks. So each one teach one is like, you got to actually do yourself, lead by example, keep the positive flow against the negative, and the sky watches down, period. Like, just know what you do in this time, in the here and now, probably is not a first time for you doing it.
Yeah.
And until you can put the period at the end of that sentence, rip it up, burn it up, and put it behind you, And that's in forgiving as well. That's being cognizant of the way in which we can forgive is so powerful. So I'll talk about that faster than I will, like, what we gonna do to fight the government?
Yeah.
Vote. Like, you want to do something against the government? Vote. Vote them out of office. Encourage your friends to vote them out of office. Well, you don't know what they're planning. You don't have an idea conceptually. Look around. You're not dumb. Every house in LA is $1 million. Every house. You get a house for $600,000. You go buy it. They're gonna tell you it's $900,000 and change.
Yeah.
By the time you get to it.
Damn.
It's dumb when we are looking right at it, and it's looking right at us for us not to take inventory of self. And so that's what I'll leave you with.
Yeah, man, that's deep, and I appreciate you sharing that with us and the listeners, man, for sure. Absolutely. Well, Adrian, man, it's been amazing having you on. We didn't even get to half the things I wanted to talk about, but but exactly, man. And I was actually going to say, if there's a No Worries project coming at any point, please let us know, because those, I know Anderson's amazing, Knowledge is amazing, they're all amazing, but that No Worries is something special about that tandem of when they get in together, man. So
they are working on a new project. Shouts out to the team that's on that. Bro's kind of doing his own thing, and I'm doing my own thing. I don't get in the way with what they do. We've come a long way together, and so I like to keep the intentions all positive. What I am doing though is Delicious Vinyl Island. I'm doing a Caribbean label with Michael Ross and Leslie and Sharon Burke.
Wicked. So
Mike Ross, Leslie Cooney, Sharon Burke. We have a very cool initiative called deliciousvinylisland.com. Brand new, but in the realm of future roots. You can ask Ras Kwame about us in Orange Hill.
Yeah,
we got it cracking from here to London town.
Wicked.
My get down is super serious. So Panama, London, the Caribbean at large, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, you name it, we're there. We're in full motion, knocking them down brick by brick. Big artists coming. Enough respect to artists like Los Racas, artists like Leila Aiki, artists like Black Hero, Runkis, Amanye. I mean, we got so many new artists that are just bumping Chaos, Natural High. I can just go on and on and on and on and on with the new artists that we're breaking. And I'm very proud that I'm giving these artists a voice and an opportunity to hear and be heard and be seen and be felt and have their music touching the next wave. So that's the Delicious Vinyl Island thing that I'm doing. Speaking of being in business with every label that I ever wanted to do business with.
Yeah.
That's Delicious Vinyl. Omas Keith and I have a company called A Tiny Universe. We just wrapped up the music for a feature film I'm producing called Karen.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So that'll be out in September. And you'll get a chance to hear a lot of artists on our label on that.
Nice.
So shout outs to Gumbo, Pregnant Boy, Wolf, Coda the Friend. We got a lot of dope artists coming on that project as well. Speaking of artists in your backyard, Knox Brown is on the project.
Knox Brown, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Along with Ego LMA. We got, I'm always like, I'm a West End type.
Yeah. West End type. I love that, man. Wicked. Man, it's so nice to see you doing all this, just helping all the next generation, man. So, yeah, big yourself up, man. Big yourself up. Well, Adrian.
It's important to have vehicles like yours. So I appreciate 808 and a shout out to you and everything that you're doing. And just keep talking to the people who don't want to be spoken to. Eventually, we'll get on with you.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Well, peace out, bro. And much love. And just, keep spreading that energy, bro. Just keep spreading it.
Peace.
Wicked. Peace, bro.